This is Module 5 for EDL 856, Understanding My Community. My name is Stephanie Lane, and this is about my school and district, Garfield Elementary, in the Clay Center School District. Starting off with knowing customs and traditions, I think a big part of our small town is that jobs and money, immediate gratification, ultimately trump the educational system, especially with our small town of hunting and farming. A lot of the times our kiddos are missing school to help out with businesses or babysit at home, whatever needs to be done. So education kind of becomes a second priority. Part of our farming goes along with our just in general high agricultural population. A lot of our students are members of FFA or 4-H. They have cattle, they work with farm animals and help farm. This is Module 5, Understanding My Community for EDL 856. My name is Stephanie Lane, and the school I'm talking about is Garfield Elementary, which is a part of the Clay County School Districts. Starting off with knowing customs and traditions, I think a big part of our small town ultimately is that immediate gratification, job, money, etc. kind of trump our educational system. A big part of that falls on our agricultural population. Sometimes there's kiddos who need to stay at home to help with farming, who need to stay at home to help with babysitting while their parents are working. So education kind of takes the second hand. We have a low SES population. We are predominantly Caucasian, Christian farming community. Athletes are pretty important. Athletics in general, Friday night games, sports kind of bring members of our town together. A lot of our students participate in clubs and activities such as FFA and 4-H. We have annual carnivals at our schools. We have festivals throughout the town like Piatique that bring a lot of our surrounding towns together and our community together. In general, I would say some of our community members are apathetic towards supporting the school system. Not all. We have a lot of great community members that really help out donating time and resources just to be a part of our building and help us be successful. I think change in a lot of small towns is undervalued and causes concern. I will say, however, our technological changes have been welcomed by a lot of our community members due to the fact that they know it's needed for jobs, even within farming and agricultural things as well. Moving on to knowing your population's characteristics. Our educational level, I would say the general population probably has a high school degree or GED. Some of our population has received a bachelor's degree or post-secondary education training of some sort. And then I would say few members of our population have more than a bachelor's. They've gone back to school for postgraduate work. Our age in our town, when looking at parents, we have a lot of young parents who have children right out of high school or early on. That being said, then there is some turnaround of grandparents who seem to be raising their grandchildren. So in my class alone, out of 23, I have about 7 grandparents who are raising their kiddos. And our age for students across the board, we have a pretty steady enrollment across age and grade levels. Sex is the same way. We have pretty evenly dispersed genders throughout all grade levels. There's going to be some classes that have differing numbers, but for the most part, they're all the same. Our occupations in town, majority of our occupations are blue-collar jobs. We do have a lot of agricultural jobs, manufacturing. We have a big hospital in town, so medical jobs, food service, and then even teachers who are hired within our district as well. Our communication channels. I would say a lot of these are similar to most areas I've lived, but email, Twitter, teacher-specific apps. I know for me, I use Seesaw and Class Dojo and Remind to communicate with my parents. My school as well as my district have Facebook pages, and then some teachers as well have Facebook pages too. I do a classroom newsletter, and our school does a school-wide newsletter as well. We have Tiger News, which runs on our cable TV program so that people tuning in can see what's upcoming for our sports or for our plays or dramas, and they can know the times and the ticket costs and availabilities. It's pretty neat. And then within our building, I run the Bengal News, which is just a building-wide news that welcomes the students every day and starts their day out. Next, we have our town newspaper, the Dispatch, and then we always have our town hall meetings and school board meetings as well that anyone can attend. Our foreign language impact, we do have a lot of district members who are ESL trained, but it's not utilized at all. Where do people in the community get most of their news information? I would just say the majority is probably from the Dispatch or our Tiger News, or then town hall meetings or school board meetings. Knowing community groups. Our groups organized within our town kind of around special interests include FCA, FFA, 4-H. Our town sports teams are a really big deal. Wednesday night church groups, regardless of your religion for the most part. Classes are on Wednesday night. It's just kind of a set rule between our churches and our schools so that there's no practices that night and kids can go to those if they need to. Varying influence, anything regarding curriculum, policy, textbooks, for the most part, those decisions are made at district office or within the school board. Our formal and informal groups include Rotary Club, American Legion, and Kiwanis Club. Cooperation. With our pupils, I would say our biggest ones is going to be our stakeholders and then our watchdogs, the dads who come in and volunteer, or males, uncles, grandparents who come in and volunteer and help out. And then we are lucky to have a strong police presence. We don't actually have a formal school resource officer, but we have police officers who pop in multiple times a day. They know our kids. They have good relationships with our kids. Our leadership. Our influencing agents, I would say, especially right now going through the redesign process, our number one influence is our students, what they need, what we can do to make them successful. Administration, specifically in my building, would be my principal, Sarah Armstrong, our school board, and then district office. Jacqueline Fitzemeyer would be our curriculum and design leader, and then Mike Folks would be our superintendent. The people influenced, all certified and support staff for sure. And I would really honestly say the people above as well, the school board, the district office, because if we're doing our job correctly and we're using those influencing agents, then we're going to address all the needs of everyone on that list. Different theories. I would say there's probably a lot of different theories within our district, different arguments for what is best practice. But these differing opinions allow for candid conversations and growth within our district. Knowing community leaders and characteristics. When I look at our community leaders, the people who I see in and out of our buildings constantly, the community members that stop and run over to Sonic to bring teachers drinks, those qualities that I see in them, they're driven, they're passionate, they're hands-on, they're likely people who are educated, they invest in student success. They're not only donating their money, they're donating their time for the betterment of school and children. They're proactive with children's education, and then they're always willing to participate in our school events, our meetings, our after-school programs. Our economic conditions. Since I've been here, just the 2 years in Clay Center, we've had a lot of buildings and new restaurants open up. The Rex is one of them. It is our brand new movie theater, which is pretty exciting for us. We also have Java Junkies, which is a local coffee place that hosts after school nights for students to study and things like that, so very hands-on. Our business reports, our population is on the increase. There's lots of donations made to school from our local businesses and our government. Within the agricultural realm, there's been some added new businesses as well. We have Hutchison Mayrath, which has just been bought out. It's a big manufacturing company. And then for our general city transportation, we do have vans that transport the elderly or people who need rides around, but no formal transportation. As far as employment stability, we have lots of job opportunities, lots of businesses that are hiring. I would say our opportunities are very stable. However, it requires community members that are driven and willing to stay at those jobs for long periods of time. Our land use, for our district at least, we have ownership over all of our land. We do rent from buildings called Life Finer Moments, which is just an area we can have big conferences and meetings at, and occasionally we'll rent from churches as well. Our district business office, this year we have had to make specific school cuts within the district. Massive cuts, about $200,000 across the board. So certain schools are looking kind of at their wages, their money that they're taking in, and deciding what cuts they need to make as a whole. Knowing our political structure. I believe that politics are heavily a part of education and determine education. We receive funding, obviously, as a public school district, so we appreciate that funding. Specifically right now, our district is going through the redesign initiative, so politics kind of play a big part into that, and we're going through that smoothly with the help of our politicians. Social tensions. We don't really have any gangs or multicultural problems. I would say there's a large drug use in Clay Center. We see that with our high school students as young as our middle school students, and a lot of our parents are affected with drug use, buying and selling, so that would be probably our largest social issue as a town. Extra sources of information. Utilizing school records and enrollment records as a teacher, I think, is very helpful. We have the dispatch in town that I know I personally use as a teacher because it updates me if there's been parents who have been arrested and situations that I need to be aware of to help out with kiddos. We send out a lot of questionnaires to our students and to our parents. We use that feedback kind of to help us guide where we're going in the future. We use SurveyMonkey, so it's anonymous. Our superintendent does soup with the seniors, so he can kind of gauge how the students are feeling about education. And then our parent organizations, we have PEP, Site Council, and then we utilize questionnaires with them as well. Power structures. Support from district office on order of our power structure. Our superintendent is very passionate about going to the correct outlet. So if your issue is with the teacher, you need to start with the teacher. And then if it continues, you need to move to the principal, and so on. He will not answer questions or engage with a parent if he feels like they didn't go through the correct channels first. We do have some families and some community members that hold significance in our district because of their name or who they are as a person. Multicultural issues. In Clay Center, we have little to no diversity, so we don't have a lot we have to address with that. Even with our dress code, it's pretty informal. We do have a small population of Jehovah's Witnesses, so when we have a student enrolled in a specific building, the school accommodates that student and family based on their wishes. Knowing power structure. I touched on this a bit earlier, but again, the order would start school board, superintendent, administrator, classified, and certified staff kind of together. Affluent parents have power within the district as well. I think that is kind of the politics of the educational enterprise at times. Measuring public opinion. We have coffee shop meetings occasionally at 6 a.m. with members of our community who drink coffee every morning with the same group, and we'll kind of chat with them and understand their ideas, their voices, their concerns with the students that we're currently raising, what we could do to make them better citizens for the future. We send out teacher surveys that poll the parents, and then we discuss that with the administration. We send out school and district surveys. That information is then sorted and organized by responses. Each question, we take the top 5 answers and kind of make an ordered list so we're aware of what the issues or concerns are, or even what we're doing right. These lists are sorted by the schools or the redesign leadership team members. Lastly, public opinion surveys. We do a lot of anonymous surveys even with community members. So we use SurveyMonkey for parents, students, staff, and community. We'll take polls. We have a large presence at town functions such as Piatique, one of our yearly festivals. We'll set up booths and we'll just talk with community members about their concerns or suggestions they have for our school district. We also have representatives of our district that will go out and speak with community members, kind of like what I touched with for our coffee mornings as well. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.